Her name was Rose. Her clothes were tattered, the once blue gown faded into an ugly grey. Her hair was rough, tangled from days without a comb. She clutched a black nylon bag close to her chest as if it held her life. Inside it were her treasures, 2 torn notebooks, a pencil with no eraser, and a broken math set ruler. "Go away, you useless girl," one market woman shouted, waving her broom. "Always coming here to beg. You think this is a charity ground?" "I'm not begging, Ma," Rose whispered. Her voice was small, drowned out by the cries of tomato sellers. I only wanted some leftover yam peel. Please." Another woman sneered. "Leftover yam peel? See her mouth. Tomorrow she'll come and ask for meat." "Nonsense. Get out before I pour hot water on you." Laughter erupted from the nearby stalls. Even children joined in, pointing and chanting, "Street rat! Street rat!" One boy picked a stone and flung it at her. It struck her arm. She winced but said nothing. Rose tightened her hold on her bag and stumbled away, her stomach twisting with hunger. It had been 2 days since she last ate a proper meal. Most nights, she survived on water from a public tap. Yet even in her hunger, her greatest fear wasn't food, it was losing those torn notebooks. Because those pages were the only thing reminding her she had once been somebody. 2 years ago, Rose had lived in a small but happy home with her parents. Her father, a bricklayer, and her mother, a tailor, had struggled but always made sure she went to school. Rose loved school. Numbers made her smile. Equations danced in her head like music. Teachers often praised her, "This girl will become something great one day." But then tragedy struck. A car accident claimed her parents' lives in one night. With no relatives willing to take her, she was pushed onto the streets. At first, she thought it was temporary. She carried her notebooks, thinking one day she would return to class. But weeks turned to months, and survival became her only lesson. Still, she never let go of those books. At night, under dim streetlights, she scribbled equations, whispering answers to herself. It was her way of holding on to hope. Now, as she walked through the bustling market with her ribs almost poking through her skin, insults chased her like shadows. A fish seller threw water at her feet. A bread hawker hissed, "Lazy girl. If you don't want to die, find work." Work? Rose almost laughed bitterly. Who would employ a girl who looked like she had wrestled the dust itself? Her eyes stung with tears, but she bit her lip and kept walking. She had learned to cry only in silence, where no one could mock her weakness. That evening, when the sun dipped and the crowd began to thin, Rose wandered away from the market. Her legs carried her down a long street lined with mansions, a place where she clearly didn't belong. Her stomach growled. She leaned against a fence to catch her breath. Through the tall iron bars, she saw a little girl seated on a swing inside one of the largest compounds she had ever laid eyes on. The girl had books scattered on the ground. She looked frustrated, her tiny fingers pulling at her braids. Rose tilted her head, curious. Without realizing it, she bent down and began drawing numbers in the sand with her finger. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 3, 6. 2 times 4, 8. The little girl looked up sharply. Their eyes met. The girl walked closer to the fence. She was about 8 years old, her dress neat and expensive. She studied Rose carefully, not with disgust but with curiosity. "What are you doing?" the girl asked. Rose froze. She hadn't meant to be heard. "Nothing. Just numbers." The girl frowned. "You know multiplication?" Rose nodded shyly. The girl sighed, dropping her pencil. "I hate math. My tutor shouts too much." "But you made it sound easy. Can you teach me?" Rose blinked. For a moment, she thought she had misheard. No one ever asked her for anything except to leave. "Teach you?" she whispered. "Yes." The girl picked her notebook and pushed it through the fence. "Please. My name is Clara. What's yours?" "Rose." And so, on the dusty ground outside the iron bars, Rose began to teach Clara. She used sticks to draw, numbers to sing, and patience to explain. Clara's face lit up as she finally understood. For the first time in months, Rose felt alive. Not like a beggar. Not like a street rat. But like a teacher. They were laughing softly over a tricky sum when the loud honk of a car startled them. A sleek black limousine rolled into the compound. The gates opened wide. A tall man in a suit stepped out, followed by guards. His presence commanded silence. His eyes were sharp, his jaw set. It was Mr. Desmond, Clara's father, the billionaire. He walked toward them, briefcase in hand. At first, he smiled at his daughter. But then his eyes fell on Rose, dirty, barefoot, crouched by the fence with Clara's book in her hands. His expression darkened. The guards stiffened, waiting for his order. "Clara," his voice thundered. "Who is this filthy girl, sitting with my daughter?" Rose's heart slammed in her chest. Her hand shook as she tried to return the notebook. The guards moved forward. And just like that, the small moment of happiness she had found threatened to shatter. The moment Mr. Desmond's voice thundered, Rose's legs trembled. She had seen that look before, the look of powerful men who never listened, the look of people who saw her as nothing but dirt. The guards stepped forward, their boots pounding the ground like war drums. "Catch her," one barked. Rose dropped Clara's book as if it were fire. She clutched her black nylon bag to her chest and ran. "Wait! Stop!" Clara cried, but her voice was drowned by the rush of heavy footsteps. Rose darted down the street barefoot, her feet slapping against hot concrete, her breath sharp in her chest. The guards chased her like hunters after a wounded animal. Passers-by turned their heads, murmuring, "There goes that street girl again. Ah, what trouble did she cause this time?" Rose didn't look back. If they caught her, she knew it would be worse than insults, maybe beatings, maybe prison. Her only thought was to reach her hiding place before they dragged her away. Her lungs burned as she turned corner after corner, the nylon bag thumping against her ribs. The guards shouted, closing in. One almost grabbed her arm, but she slipped into a narrow alley too tight for their broad shoulders. "Useless girl," a guard yelled. "She won't escape for long." Rose stumbled through the back streets until finally, the noise of the market swallowed her again. She ducked behind a row of broken stalls and pressed her back against the wall, gasping. The guards gave up the chase when the crowd thickened, cursing under their breath as they returned to report. Rose's eyes stung with tears. She had been foolish. How could she think she could sit with someone like Clara? People like Clara belonged in mansions. People like her belonged in shadows. Still clutching her bag, she slipped away to the place she called home. It was not a home at all. At the far edge of the market, where the smell of rotten fruit mixed with sewage, stood an abandoned shed. Its roof was half gone, its walls eaten by termites. Old cartons and nylon bags were spread on the floor like bedding. Rats scurried freely, unbothered by her presence. This was where Rose slept every night. Alone. Hungry. Invisible. She sank into the corner, hugging her knees, rocking herself to calm her racing heart. The fear of the guards still echoed inside her chest. She opened her bag and touched her notebooks gently, as if reassuring herself that her last treasures were safe. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. She whispered to herself, the only comfort she had. "One day, Rose, one day, you will leave this place. One day." Meanwhile, Clara stood frozen at the gate, tears streaming down her cheeks as the limousine door shut. "Daddy, why did you scare her away?" she wailed, tugging at Mr. Desmond's suit. "She was helping me. She was my friend." Mr. Desmond frowned, confused by his daughter's outburst. "Clara, you don't know who that girl is. She could be dangerous. She's a street child." "She's not dangerous," Clara shouted, stamping her little foot. "She's kind. She explained math better than my tutor. She smiled at me, Daddy. Nobody smiles at me like that." Her words pierced him. Mr. Desmond was a man used to commanding boardrooms, making billion-dollar decisions without flinching. But seeing his daughter cry like that unsettled him. "She could have stolen from you," he said stiffly. "No." Clara shook her head furiously. "She didn't even eat when she was hungry. She was teaching me, Daddy. And now she's scared. Because of you." She broke into sobs, clutching his arm. "Please, Daddy. Please find her. Please bring her back. I don't want my friend to disappear." The guards exchanged awkward glances. None had ever seen the billionaire's daughter plead like this. Mr. Desmond sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Clara." "No, Daddy." Clara cut him off, her small hands shaking. "You have everything in the world. I don't want toys, I don't want dresses, I don't want tutors. I just want her. Please. If you love me, find her." Her words silenced him. That night, while Clara cried herself to sleep, Mr. Desmond sat alone in his study. He poured himself a glass of wine but barely touched it. His daughter's words replayed in his mind. "A homeless girl? Teaching Clara? And Clara prefers her to all the tutors I pay millions for?" He leaned back, unsettled. He had spent his life building empires, crushing competitors, but in that moment, he realized something. He didn't even know what truly made his daughter happy. And now, a ragged street girl had shown him a glimpse of it. By midnight, he had made up his mind. Tomorrow, he told his head guard, we find that girl. Rose lay curled up on her carton bed, her stomach empty, her eyes staring at the broken ceiling. Every sound outside made her flinch, the bark of a dog, the clang of metal, footsteps in the distance. She thought of Clara's smile. For a brief moment, she had felt like she belonged somewhere. But that moment was gone, chased away by men in suits and the heavy shadow of wealth she could never touch. Tears slid down her cheeks. She whispered to herself again. One day, Rose, one day. What she didn't know was that her life was about to change faster than she could imagine. Mr. Desmond has ordered his men to find Rose, while Rose hides in her filthy shed, believing no one will ever look for her. Clara won't stop until her father brings her friend back. The morning broke with restless energy in the billionaire's mansion. Clara refused breakfast. She sat at the dining table with her arms crossed, her eyes swollen from crying all night. Every servant in the house whispered among themselves, "What kind of power does this little girl have over the great Mr. Desmond?" The head guard shifted nervously near the doorway. Mr. Desmond walked in, crisp in his tailored suit, but his face showed he had slept as little as his daughter. "Daddy," Clara said before he could speak, her voice trembling. "Did you find her?" "Not yet," he admitted. "Then don't go to work today," she pleaded. "Please, Daddy. Find her first." Mr. Desmond sighed. His empire waited for him, meetings, signatures, deadlines. But something about Clara's determination unsettled him. In all his years, he had never seen his daughter fight so hard for anything. He placed his briefcase down. "All right," he said firmly. "We'll find her." Clara's face lit with hope. The guards fanned out across the city, retracing the path Rose had taken the night before. For hours they searched through alleys, abandoned corners, and the market square. Some muttered that it was a waste of time. But Mr. Desmond was not a man who accepted failure, not in business, not in life. He joined the search himself, his polished shoes stepping onto filthy market ground that he had not walked on in years. It was Clara's small hand gripping his that kept him moving forward. "She'll be scared," Clara whispered. "She thinks we hate her. Daddy, please be kind when we find her." Mr. Desmond looked down at his daughter, surprised. Since when had an 8-year-old become his conscience? Finally, one guard pointed toward the edge of the market. "Sir, there. That old shed. The traders said a girl sometimes sleeps there." They approached cautiously. The stench hit first, a sour mix of decay and sewage. The walls sagged, the roof looked ready to collapse. Rats scurried at the sound of their footsteps. Inside, huddled in the corner like a frightened bird, was Rose. Her arms were wrapped around her knees, her black nylon bag clutched tightly. Her eyes went wide when she saw the guards. She scrambled back, shaking her head. "Please, don't take me. I didn't steal anything. I swear." Clara broke free from her father's hand and ran forward. "Rose." Rose blinked, stunned. Clara threw her arms around her, not caring about the dirt or the smell. "I told Daddy to find you. I told him you're my friend." Rose's lips trembled. "Clara, why?" "Because you're kind. And because I don't want to lose you." Mr. Desmond stood in the doorway, his sharp eyes scanning the scene, the filth, the broken cartons, the notebooks clutched to Rose's chest. He had seen poverty from a distance before, from reports and charity events, but never like this. Never so raw. This was not just hardship. This was survival. The guards shifted uneasily. One whispered, "Sir, she's not safe for the child. We should take Clara away." But Mr. Desmond silenced him with a glance. He stepped forward, his polished shoes crunching on broken bottles. Rose flinched as he crouched to her level. "What's in the bag?" he asked. Rose hesitated, then slowly opened it. She pulled out her treasures, 2 torn notebooks, a stub of a pencil, and a cracked ruler. Mr. Desmond frowned. "That's all?" Rose nodded. "They're mine. I use them to practice. So I don't forget school." Her voice was barely a whisper, but the weight of her words landed heavily in the silence. Clara looked at her father with pleading eyes. "See, Daddy? She's not bad. She just wants to learn." For a long moment, Mr. Desmond said nothing. The billionaire in him, the man who judged everything by profit and loss, wanted to walk away. But the father in him, the part that had watched his daughter smile for the first time in weeks, couldn't ignore what he was seeing. Finally, Mr. Desmond straightened, his voice firm. "Rose, from today, you will no longer live here." Rose's face fell. She bowed her head, bracing herself for rejection. But then he continued. "You will come with us. You will live in my house. You will go back to school. And you will be Clara's tutor." The guards gasped. Clara's face lit up with joy. Rose's mouth fell open, her voice breaking. "I'll live with you? In your mansion?" "Yes." Mr. Desmond's tone was final. "If you can teach my daughter with nothing but a stick and sand, then you are worth more than all the tutors I've hired. From now on, you are part of this household." The guards exchanged shocked looks. One dared to whisper, "Sir, she's just a street girl." "Enough," Mr. Desmond cut him off sharply. "She is not just anything. She is Rose." Rose's tears spilled freely. Her entire body trembled. Never in her life had anyone called her by name with such respect. Clara hugged her tighter, squealing, "I told you, Rose. I told you Daddy would understand." Back at the mansion. When they returned to the mansion, the staff nearly dropped their trays in shock. Rose stood awkwardly in the grand living room, her dirty feet staining the marble floor, her eyes darting around at chandeliers and paintings that looked like they belonged in museums. The housekeeper wrinkled her nose. "Sir, with respect, this girl does not belong here." Mr. Desmond's reply was cold. "From today, she belongs more here than anyone who doubts her." But not everyone agreed. Hidden behind the staircase, she whispered under her breath, "This ragged girl? In my house? We'll see how long that lasts." The days after Rose moved into the mansion felt like a dream. For the first time in her life, she slept on a soft bed, ate warm meals, and bathed in clean water. At night, she stared at the ceiling, still half afraid someone would come and drag her back to the shed. But during the day, she flourished. Clara adored her. Lessons under the mango tree turned into lessons at a polished desk in Clara's private study. The little girl giggled through multiplication tables, her fear of math melting under Rose's patient guidance. Even the household staff, though skeptical, couldn't deny Clara's progress. Yet beneath the surface, resentment brewed. Some servants muttered that Rose didn't deserve her place in the mansion. And Mrs. Evelyn, Clara's stepmother, fueled their whispers with subtle smiles and poisonous remarks. It wasn't long before opportunity came knocking. Mr. Desmond had traveled for a 2-day business meeting abroad. In his absence, the estate's management handled security and operations. Among them was Mr. Basie, the estate agent, a tall, stern man with a reputation for cruelty. That morning, while Rose was helping Clara with homework, Mr. Basie stormed into the study, his shoes clicking against the marble. "There you are, girl," he barked. "Come with me." Rose jumped up nervously. "Sir, did I do something wrong?" He sneered. "We'll see." Confused, Rose followed him into the main hall. Several staff members were already gathered, whispering. On the table lay a gold wristwatch, gleaming under the chandelier. Mr. Basie pointed at it dramatically. "This was found missing from Mr. Desmond's collection last night. And guess who was seen lurking near the study corridor? This girl." Gasps filled the room. The maids exchanged knowing glances. "I knew it," one muttered. "She looks like a thief." Rose's face went pale. "No. I've never touched anything. I don't even know how much that costs." "You expect us to believe you?" Mr. Basie snapped. "A street girl living in luxury suddenly, and the watch goes missing? It doesn't take a profit." The plea for mercy. Rose dropped to her knees, her hands trembling. "Please, I swear on my parents' graves, I didn't steal. I've never stolen anything in my life." The staff circled closer, their eyes cold. "You think tears will save you?" one guard scoffed. "We warned Mr. Desmond she would bring shame." Another maid folded her arms. "Throw her out before she disgraces the family." Rose's heart pounded. She clasped her hands together, sobbing. "Please, don't send me away. Clara needs me. I was only teaching her, I never touched that watch." Her words fell on deaf ears. Mr. Basie raised his hand. "Enough. This house cannot keep a thief. Guards, remove her immediately." 2 guards yanked Rose to her feet. She struggled weakly, her tears wetting their sleeves. "Please," she cried again. "At least wait until Mr. Desmond returns. He will know the truth." But Mr. Basie's voice was final. "Out. Now." The great iron gates opened, and Rose was shoved out onto the dusty road, her nylon bag thrown after her. She fell to her knees, clutching the bag against her chest as the gates slammed shut. The mansion loomed behind her, silent and cold, as if it had never welcomed her at all. Passers-by paused to stare. Some recognized her. "Ah, isn't that the girl the billionaire took in? See? A thief will always be a thief." Rose covered her face with her palms, the shame heavier than the hunger she had once known. For a moment, she considered running back to the shed, back to the only place that had never judged her. Inside the mansion, Clara had witnessed everything from the staircase. Her small body trembled with fury. She rushed to her room, grabbed the phone her father had given her, and dialed his number with shaky fingers. "Daddy," she cried the moment he answered. "Clara? What's wrong?" Mr. Desmond's deep voice was laced with alarm. "They kicked Rose out." Clara's words came in broken sobs. "The estate man said she stole your watch, but she didn't. She didn't, Daddy. They threw her out like a dog. Please come home. Please come now." "What?" Mr. Desmond's voice thundered through the phone. "Who dared to touch her?" Clara hiccuped through her tears. "She's outside, Daddy, crying, please hurry." There was a sharp intake of breath, followed by the sound of papers scattering and a chair scraping. "Clara, listen to me. Lock your door. Don't let anyone in. I'm on my way home." Clara clutched the phone to her chest, whispering to herself, "Please, Daddy, save her. Don't let them take my friend away." Rose's despair. Meanwhile, Rose wandered down the street, her vision blurred with tears. Every step felt heavier than the last. She had thought the mansion would be her salvation. She had dared to dream of a better life. And now, in a single moment, it was snatched away. Maybe they were right, she whispered bitterly. Maybe I don't belong anywhere. She pressed her bag tightly to her chest, but the words Clara had spoken to her, "I don't want to lose you," echoed in her ears. For Clara's sake, she wanted to fight. But who would believe a street girl over wealthy estate managers? Her tears fell faster as she sank onto a broken bench by the roadside. She buried her face in her knees, unaware that her fate was about to take another shocking turn.
This is the end of the first part of this story. Please subscribe and hit the notification button so that you can be notified when it drops. And don't forget to share the story.